Hello viewers, here is an Air King 9214 high velocity fan, and we're going to be attempting to balance this fan today. So, let's put the tie wrap on here so it doesn't get lost. I'm going to turn this on here so you can see how badly it shakes. This plate is so out of balance, I am appalled that it was able to leave the factory like this. Look at that thing shake. That's outrageous. This is ridiculous. It's so bad, it's comical. I cannot believe the quality control on these machines is so poor that they can leave the factory running like that. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I've had several viewers write in and suggest ways to fix this. I think the first one was to put, was to shave off part of the blade, one of the two blades that are heavier, in order to make the whole thing balance. And I think that's probably the best way to fix it. However, I don't have the tools to do that. So then somebody else wrote in and said to put weights, tire weights, on the blades. Now I firmly decline that because I think that's very dangerous, because for those that haven't balanced a tire before, the weights stick on the inside of the rim, and so the centrifugal force of the operation of the wheel will cause the weights to be essentially forced back into place. And so the sticky tape, there's never a force really working against the tape. It's always working with the tape. So there's no risk of it flying off. But when you have it on the side of a fan blade, all the centrifugal force of the blade working is forcing the weight off the blade. And so I think eventually, if not sooner than later, the weight would just go flying off the blade. So I'm not doing that. And I also think the weights would probably be too heavy, because we're talking something that's designed to balance an item that's 50, 75, 100 pounds, not a fan blade. Look how out of balance this blade is. It's actually moving on its own because it's so out of balance. You can see it doing it again. This is ridiculous. I can't even believe that modern machined manufacturing is that inaccurate. Something's not quite right about that. Anyway, so with those two options out of the question, I had another viewer write in very recently, and they suggested that I use lead tape, which I had not thought of before, and I think it's a very good idea because the surface area of the sticky part in relation to the amount of weight that it's sticking is astronomically higher than the weight of the tire weight. So I think we wouldn't necessarily run into a safety issue with it flying off. And it's not nearly as heavy, so probably be able to use an amount that works. So just about got this all the way screwed off. I don't like the way this works. I think this is a very dumb design, because now that the screws are out, there's nothing keeping the fan on the stand anymore other than it just sitting on the surface here. This whole thing is just free moving here. So this is going to be kind of a pain to finagle this. Okay, so that's off. And this fan, you know, aside from the stupid out of balance issue, is a great fan. Of all the Air Kings I've bought, I think this is the one I've used the most, because I brought this one on a vacation once. And so it got several days of use, continuous use. Okay, so I'm going to put one of these screws back in on this side. I'm going to put one screw back in on the other side, just so that the motor and blades are staying in place. Okay, so now it's fairly obvious in this particular case which blade weighs the least, because no matter where I put it, look at how out of balance that is. I just got to take a moment to acknowledge just how far out of balance that really is. That's crazy. So for whatever reason, this blade, I think we say this blade is the heaviest, and this one's the lightest. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to start by putting a piece of tape onto this blade. Now, I bought this tape, me being the cheap person that I am, decided to buy the $6 roll instead of the $12 roll, and I've ended up with this, which is so small, I'm not even sure this is enough. And I put the whole roll on here just to have it make it any kind of a difference. Oh, let's see what happens here. This is made in America, so that's the one redeeming factor here. Which is kind of ironic. One of the few things they'll make in America is like pure poison, because that's all this is. It's just lead, and we got the cancer and reproductive warning here, and whatever. Anyways, it's like a biohazard task here. Anyways, okay. I think this is going to be so difficult. Ah, task. I just realized I don't have any good scissors, because my scissors broke the other day. And so now I don't have any way to cut with paper and everything. So, and I went to the Habitat and they didn't have any scissors. I was very upset with them. So I gotta get new scissors still. And it would have been nice to have them tonight to cut this with. Excuse me while I struggle here to get this off. Oh, for heaven's sakes. I'm just going to have to start over because it tore. Let's see if these stupid scissors will still cut, even though it's kind of broken. Oh, I guess it will still cut. Okay, so we're going to take that. It doesn't go any further than that. That's kind of dumb. Well, we're going to take the tape here, and I'm trying to think where the best place to put this is. There's no dust on the back of the blade there. I'm going to put it kind of towards the top here because it's going to have the most effect at the top. I don't really know, this is awful, how much to to put on. I'm just going to kind of guess here. This is not very heavy, but it may be enough to make a difference. Who knows? I just hope this doesn't make noise. Alright, so that's what it looks like. Kind of can see that there. So let's see now. Is it still... It's definitely still... wow, this is dustier than I thought it was. You know, it's all pollen on there. This is still pulling in that one direction, so I'm going to add another piece, because that definitely was not enough. Alright, let's see if that made any difference. Nope, it's still pulling. I'm going to add a piece to this blade now. We're at a quarter of the way through the roll already, I think. Okay, and it's still pulling to that blade. Oh, it's getting better. It's not pulling as much as it was. This blade needs some more weight. I've already got 3 pieces on here. I mean 2 pieces. I know how to count. So I add another piece. Trying to peel sticky backing off of a lead. This is quality entertainment. Oh, for heaven's sakes, the whole thing wasn't even in the frame. Okay, yeah, this is what happens when I record after work. Alright. Still not quite right. I'll put another one on this blade. I mean, I figured it was going to take a lot of pieces because I could tell it's really, really far off from what it should be. And this tape is not nearly as heavy as I was expecting it to be. We seem to have lost that pull, which was the goal. So let's power it up and let's see if it's any better. It's better. It's not flawless. But you know what? It's still shaking, but it's definitely an improvement. That's a huge improvement for sure. But it is definitely not what it should be. Yeah, it's shaking quite a bit now on medium. That's still pretty bad on high. Well, that was progress. Progress was made. At this point, it's going to be kind of a guessing game because I can't really tell, you know, where it's needed. So if it's out of balance now, it's going to be a very, very small amount, which, you know, because these are steel blades, even just a little bit is really going to throw it off. I'll add another small piece to this other blade and let's see if that makes any difference. We're kind of getting into the realm of guess and check here. Let's see if that made any difference. That's not bad. That actually feels pretty good. Oh wow, that made a big difference. You can see now it's not really vibrating anymore. A little bit of vibration on high. I don't know, I may leave it alone at this point. It's really running pretty smoothly now. Now, since I like precision, let's do one more attempt. I'm gonna add a little bit more to that blade and see if that improves it any further. That's going to be this blade here, which actually is ending up with more. Is it going to move on its own? It's definitely getting really close to being balanced. Okay, so that made it worse. So we're going to take that off. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to remove the bigger of the last two pieces that I put on. I'm going to remove this one. That feels really balanced. we're going to go with that because that's certainly much more usable than it was. It's not perfect, but for all intents and purposes now it runs smooth enough that it's not going to be vibrating the whole floor, because before it was so out of balance you could actually feel the floor vibrating from across the room. Ouch. That's why you shouldn't do that. I'm going to try one more thing here. Cut the spoiled ends off of this. And I want to try putting this on the other blade. Let's see what kind of a difference that makes. No, that was a disprovement. I'm going to pull that off. That didn't make it any better. I think we're gonna remove that piece and then just go with that because yeah, it was this piece here. We're going to go with this. I think that's good enough. Well, I've got that open. I like to dust off the blades because they're pretty, got a lot of pollen on them. Okay. So, let's put the guard back on, then we'll give it another test run with the guard on. But I think that's, I think that should be good. That made a huge improvement. Now I have several other fans that I'd like to balance. And so if this method seems to work well, which it seems to have for this, I'm probably going to try it on several other fans, including but not limited to the 18-inch and the 20-inch Air King high velocity fans. Now this is very difficult to get this back together, and I have to wonder if the person that designed this has ever taken apart a fan before. Because if they did, they would know that this is a joke. It's a horrible design. It's not user-friendly, and it should not exist. Front guard should be the only thing that detaches from the stand. The rear guard should not come off the stand when you remove the screws. This was not machined correctly either. Okay, let's do a final test here and see what happens. It's still not perfect. You can feel the blade moving, but it's certainly a lot better than it was. You can see now, and probably won't even be able to see it on the video, it's not really shaking anymore. I think this is within a reasonable, acceptable This is within an acceptable margin of error, I think. Let's go to medium. Yeah, that's much better than it was. Huge improvement. And high. Yeah, that's pretty good. Alright, I'm happy with that. I can't tell if the tape is making extra noise or not. This fan has always had kind of an odd whirring sound to it, which high velocity fans don't typically make. Actually, the horizontal blade alignment is not perfect, but I'm not going to fuss with it anymore. I think it's good enough. So that was a huge improvement. It did work, and so I will be trying this method on some other fans for sure.